Hello and welcome to another video. So today we're taking a look at Lion Haven. It's a deck I wanted to mess around with a bit, and now that I have, I can see it may not be the best deck right now, but it definitely has some potential going forward. And I think if I can work out a way to make this deck more consistent or just more reliable, Lion Crystals do have a chance at being quite a strong engine. So hopefully this will all work out in the long run, but so far, basically we're adding in all the standard kind of stuff we need, such as the Globe of Stairways, Happy Pig for some extra heals, your Snow White engine and your Gemstone engine, all that sort of stuff. Along with the new, basically, Tribunal. It's a little bit worse than Tribunal, of course, because you don't get the initial destruction, which sucks. But overall, I think it's an okay card. The drawing ability is quite nice. Then we also have, of course, the Holy Lion engine, which consists of the Holy Lion Crystal, which will just absolutely decimate, giving us Plate Lions, King Lions, so on, as you keep summoning stuff. Temple of Holy Lion, which is your kind of infinite engine, so you can continually play the lions about 3 to 4 times per turn, depending on your draws. And of course, Peace Weaver, which is probably the best card for the Holy Lion set, because it is an initial ward, and it is a great turn 4 combo if you've managed to get out a temple already. Other than that, I am running Gravekeeper Sonya because I really wanted some more ward in case I get a shocking hand. At least that presents something. And Beacon of Salvation is great. And Aegis is just kind of an alt win con that I'm running a single one of and haven't really had any use for so far. But I've been testing this deck okay, and while you want to play a more control-y game, you also want to be aggressive at the same time, so pushing as much to the board as you can, while at the same time defending yourself from any major damage from aggro type decks. This deck is definitely in the early stages, and I wouldn't consider it top tier or that good, but it's a fun one to mess around with, so if you guys want to improve on it, go ahead. Of course, this deck will always be in the description below, as with every other deck, and we'll get right to the video and check it out. So our first game is against Rune. Rune presents itself as a very interesting one overall. I mean, we still have Dirt Rune, which is quite powerful. We've also got a nice variation of Rooney, which is pretty cool, which I will be having hopefully a deck view of soon. There's a couple of variants that have been floating around lately, with both Mysteria and just a straight up spell boost, so hopefully we'll get to check those out. But for this deck in general, this draw isn't too bad. Getting the Temple on 2 is kind of important, although I do like the new Amulet on 2 as well, so it's really a toss-up between which one I would want to play more. So you always want to have at least one Holy Lion Crystal in your hand. I always try and take advantage of at least that one. And one Magic Missile isn't too bad to take. So the Encomium gets its drop on. They didn't really do anything else, so it's basically a free play at this point. We already have Priest of the Cudgel, which means we do lock down turn 5 pretty nicely, and Sonya also does a good job at that as well. But Snow White and Happy Pig line up our turn 4 curve nicely, putting stuff on board and meaning we can instantly destroy anything they do play. There we go, Rooney Destiny Bard. So I really want to mess around with that card more. I've got a full playset of them now because I did end up crafting a third, and really do plan on hopefully doing a deck on that very, very soon. Probably within the next few days if I'm lucky. We have got a few decks to go through. I've created quite a few I want to do videos on, so it's just a matter of getting through each one day by day. So that's instantly gone, which allows us to quite nicely go for some damage to the face, and since there's nothing else on board, we may as well start our Holy Lion Crystals by getting at least one out, which means we've advanced the ticker. So 1, 2, 4, I think. 1, 2, 4 or 1 to 3, I can't remember. It does say on the card, we'll bring it up. So the Holy Lion Crystal, of course, summons the Holy Lion Shield. Holy Lion Shields, we need 3 to 5 for Holy Lion to get Plate Lion. Once you get Plate Lion, then you get Holy Lion, so on, so on. King Lion, all that sort of fun stuff. Either way, basically it goes 2-2, 4-4, and then a 4-4 Storm, which is where you can start really dominating the game once you get those storms going. So Peace Weaver is nice, although I do prefer the Holy Lion Crystals where I can get them out.
This holy fragment.
So getting one out for 5 is really nice, especially since we do get the Peace Weaver anyway. And this does stop any kind of follower play. Although I'm pretty sure they're playing just a straight out spell boost, so I'm not too worried about followers. Now from here on is where things get more interesting. We can start going into our Holy Lions and getting as many as we can since they haven't played anything else, which is when we can start really swarming this board out with them. So I decided to throw every single Holy Lion here because I really want the Storms to be active for me, and it really presents a hard board to deal with. That way, when I want to play Peace Weaver, and most likely next turn, I'm going to have a Holy Lion Crystal straight away anyway. And this forces them to have to deal with what I've put out. Prophecy of Doom, that's kind of disappointing. It does mean we're on a timer now. Seems like Prophecy of Doom can be played about turn 7, turn 8 on average by the looks of it, so it's definitely a card I've got to watch out for.
Your evil deeds end now.
But our Priest and our Weaver are going to work really well together. Priest will remove this entire board while at the same time allowing us to deal 4 damage to face. And hopefully set up for lethal with Holy Lion Crystal. Even if they clear this entire board, Holy Lion Crystal will be enough to go for lethal in the next turn. I think. Actually, it might be... No, that's right, because the 4 damage there will line it up nicely. So, provided they don't instantly kill me, we should have a good chance.
Yes, Your Majesty.
So it looks like they're going for all wards, which is okay if we can just remove even some of these.
Give me your clothes.
I mean, we do have Beacon, so Beacon is lethal. I mean, it automatically removes all of their stuff, while at the same time allows us to send the 2 4/4s and the Evolve on the 3/5 to face for 13 damage.
Unbelievable.
Not too shabby.
Looks like you are.
So this next matchup here is against Sword.
You must die.
Sword presents itself as a very strong class in the current meta, mainly because it is quite aggressive and strong. Although I think that will kind of fade off. Same with Aggro Blood, I'm sure will become more stabilized. I think Aggro Blood still has a spot at the top, and Sword definitely still has a spot there too. But overall, I think their usage rates and win rates will continue to drop as the week continues, provided that a control type deck does present itself to really counter that. So we start off pretty good. Being able to get the Temple of the Holy Lion is really great. I mean, being able to play it out early is always beneficial. And most of the time they're not wasting removal on it, which is good. Although Mars does present me with the conundrum of, do I banish Hedgehog, do I banish Mars? Mars had to be the banish there though. Can't leave that up. One turn could absolutely decimate me. Now it's just a matter of removing these. So Peace Weaver looks to be the play that's going to be best. Peace Weaver plus Evolve will easily remove the Hedgehog, although I probably should have played the Holy Lion Crystal first and put at least a 2/2 onto the board as well, and it would have started my counter. Might have been slightly better to go down that path instead.
At the speed of lightning.
But still not too bad. I mean, we're going to deal with this pretty effectively, pretty quickly.
You are done for.
And Lux Solar Lancer really isn't a big threat to me, at least in my opinion. It's not a big issue right now. That Hedgehog is a much bigger threat. And fortunately, Happy Pig is a good counter. We do get to play a couple of these crystals out, which does start our count up to the big storms.
Make me wild.
And we still have one Holy Lion Crystal, which is what you want. At least one will allow it to be recyclable. Chromatic Duel is such a good card. Honestly, I could not fault that card. Especially 2 of them in a row. Wow.
My chest burns with pride.
I really want to mess with Sword just so I can mess with Chromatic Duel, but I really need to get the legendaries that I'd need to build this deck in particular and look into it more. It's definitely a deck you'll see pop up soon. Like I said, there's plenty of decks I want to cover. I've got a few Portal decks that I'll be covering, you know, segmented. So tomorrow's video will most likely be Cannon Portal, and then followed up by another different deck video, and then probably Puppet Portal, which is more of a hybrid deck at the moment, at least from what I'm running, as I look into other decks to build.
What an eyesore.
So we do go with the Holy Shield Lion Evolve. It allows us to trade nicely, removing at least 2 of these things here, and leaving up a nice little board.
It was just a game.
Plus, the Beacon of Salvation is a perfect counter to most sword boards. The only real issue is the fact of not being able to be destroyed by spells and effects. That can present itself as a problem. But it looks like that isn't going to be an issue, luckily. So Holy Lion Crystal and White Tiger sets up a really nice board. And we're getting very close to having these these lions be super effective.
My chest burns with pride.
So White Queen, again, quite powerful. Followed up immediately by the black.
Bow it down. It won't be long now.
The problem with this is that it's really hard to kill these with AoE when you can't use spell damage, so it makes it basically impossible. Spell and effect damage is a massive part of destroying wide boards, and when you can't do that, it makes it really difficult. Luckily, destruction spells are irrelevant to damage spells, so luckily being able to destroy that with a destroy spell instead of damage works out really nicely. But we've got plenty of good things here. Gravekeeper Sonia, Gemstone Carapace, Holy Lion Crystal, and Janine are all going to be super effective cards to deal with this board. And Snow White is just kind of a nice extra.
I'm not allowed to leave the castle yet.
So we are probably going to have to trade our entire board here and set up the Salvation play, which isn't obviously the worst possible option. And we do get to actually keep this lion due to the fact that it actually gets healed.
My apologies.
Actually, we can just banish it thanks to the draw of the Blackened Scripture, which is much better, and we do get the 4 damage to the face then. And from here on, our crystals can be played 2 per turn, so really nice. And 3 if we want to go for a finisher as well, so that's even better. And we got an extra crystal as well, which is even more beneficial. So I decided to go for the clean trade first, and then start setting up these Holy Lion crystals. I mean, we only need 1, so playing out 3 of them is going to be fine. And this way we can actually go for 4 damage to the face and have a good board. So this is what you want for your turns when you get into the mid to late game. You just want your lions to be doing most of your work for you, and your other cards are just designed there to support lion in the early game and the mid game to get to this point.
The legend begins.
It's not enough yet. It's not enough yet. It's not enough yet.
Of course, this is a hard one to beat, but considering they can only remove 1 of these, no matter what they do now, we actually win the game just due to our Holy Lion crystals. We can actually fill our entire board with them and still have 1 left over, which is 16 damage burst, so that's always nice to have. So I hope you guys did enjoy this video. I will be refining this deck down as much as I can over the coming weeks, of course, so I want to make this deck at least some form of viable, whether it's tier 3 or tier 2, I don't mind. Tier 1, obviously, I don't think it's going to quite reach it, and if it does, it probably won't use the whole Temple Lion engine as its core, but it's a fun deck if you're looking for something very different that you don't usually get to play in any kind of format for Shadowverse, really, just because we haven't had anything quite as similar to this, where a constant rotation of cards keep coming out. It's a lot of fun, and I definitely recommend giving it a try. It's also reasonably cheap. I mean, it's not super cheap because we are running 3 Snow Whites, 3 Beacons, and 1 Aegis. But in regards to current Haven decks, running 7 Legendaries is considered reasonably cheap. I mean, you could probably cut Snow White, but then you do lose the Gemstone Carapace combo, and you'd have to find a replacement, which could be quite difficult, and you really can't drop Beacon, and 1 Aegis I recommend just as an extra win con. So, hope you guys did enjoy the video. Be sure to hit the like button and subscribe. You will find the deck list in the description below, and I will catch you guys next time. See ya.